Emeritus Corporate Counsel on Africa, Stephen Hayes, who is joining us from Washington via Zoom. Good to have you join us. I was asking you earlier, President Biden, perhaps for the first time explicitly, has told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that immediate ceasefire is needed. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it was long overdue for a starter. I question how effective that will really be. I understand the Israelis have opened a checkpoint and they've fired a couple officers for the attack on the food aid. But how effective that will be, I don't know. I think President Biden is in a very, very difficult political spot in the United States right now. But again, I think Prime Minister Netanyahu will continue to move forward as much as possible. The changes may be cosmetic. I hope the changes opening the gates and allowing more food aid is real. We'll see.
And it's not just difficult for President Biden. I think it's difficult for leaders of countries who are allies to Israel. When you also consider that the aid workers who died in that airstrike were citizens of UK, the US, Canada, Australia, and Poland. And these are mostly countries that are considered to be staunch allies of Israel. Does this mark a breaking point for Tel Aviv?
Well, again, the connection is very, very bad. The allies, including Britain, I think, have reached their limit as well. Whether the United States can stand up to Israel, I think, remains to be seen. It's a very difficult situation politically here in the United States. Some of the allies, such as Britain and Australia, simply are in a stronger position to follow through with their demands. So I think that I hope the United States will stand strong now as well, because certainly Hamas is liable for what has happened, but so too is Israel. It makes no sense to call it a just war if most of the victims are innocent citizens. 75% are women and children, and so that simply is outrageous.
And UK government has now come under pressure to end arms sales to Israel. But when you consider the arms sales, from the United States to Israel, Britain's arms trade is nowhere near that of the United States. Do you think that the U.S. government will also come under similar pressure? And should there be a policy change?
I think it's going to be very, very difficult to stop arms shipments to Israel. Israel supposedly already has enough arms from the United States and others to last continue this war for at least another 6 months. So to say that cutting arms sales is not is more token than it is reality, but whether they could really do that, given the political situation in the United States, is highly questionable. I think the pressure on Israel is going to be more for internally. I think the growing protest in Israel will probably have more effect on what the prime minister does than any other factor. But even there, I question whether, in fact, the prime minister of Israel is going to change his course.
But Congress is already considering that some of these sales and aids should come with condition. What do you think that those conditions should be?
Well, the conditions should be making the bystanders, the innocent parties in Gaza safer. Anything that adds to that safety. Also, the opening of far more food channels and allowing food to come in, because I think starvation has become part of the policy, and that is simply outrageous. So those type of conditions. Now, will Congress enact that? I don't know. It would take some time to go through Congress. The Republicans are somewhat aligned more with Israel. The Democrats are becoming a little more disenchanted. But it's going to be very difficult politically to for Congress to stop the any sales or want to stop the arms shipments to Israel. I think, again, the pressure is going to have to be more internal and also global outrage, which I think is increasing.
And Tel Aviv says it has sacked 2 of its military officers. That's amid the growing chorus of condemnation after that strike that killed the aid workers. But how much difference do you think this is going to make in flipping the current narrative in favor of Israel?
I think the sacking of the 2 officers is cosmetic. I would agree with the organization that was hit so hard that it looked very, very purposeful. And so it's been more policy, and firing 2 officers is very cosmetic. It doesn't really hold too much to hold anybody for responsibility to any extent. I think there has to be a greater investigation of that, and I think there will be internationally. And I think opening 1 or 2 new gates for food shipments is helpful, but still largely cosmetic. There's got to be far more movement on food shipments. There's got to be far more concern with the civilian population, which is about 90 to 95% of the people in Gaza. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult. I think I'm encouraged by at least the cosmetic reaction, and hope that it's more than cosmetic.
See how things develop in that region. Thank you so much for your time. President Emeritus Corporate Council on Africa, Stephen